a little bit of news. Kyle and I have been all over the athlete announcements and the scoops. And so you decided to bring one to us. Whittni, I'll let you announce it. What has been the big decision that you've come to?
I decided to sign with Adidas and to stay in Utah with Coach Taylor and a few other teammates. So we're very excited.
Congrats. That's awesome. It's so awesome. So I guess like we'll start right there. I mean, sponsorships and contract talks, how have the last couple months been for you? I guess once, you knew you were going to turn pro after the cross country season, and then was the phone just ringing off the hook? Like what was the behind the scenes there?
Yeah, it's just like kind of all over the place because I feel like I'm not like the one talking to everybody. So I'm just kind of like sitting back, being patient and letting like my agent just talk to people. So I know that him and my coach were like talking to a lot of people all the time, but like as far as I knew, I was just sitting back chilling. So every once in a while I get a call or we get an update, but it wasn't like as crazy as you'd imagine, just like, so many calls. But yeah, well, it was exciting.
One of the things that we've really enjoyed about being part of the scoop is that the fans don't know about this whole process, but they really like it. So I guess from your perspective, when did you first pick an agent? How did that process kind of go? And like, what were you looking for from the very beginning?
Yeah. I kind of picked an agent earlier, like in the summer, because I was possibly thinking of going pro in the summer, but then we decided to stay for cross country. So I kind of went through a little bit of the work during like that period. And then I didn't really have to think about it as much this fall. It was kind of nice. I just knew what I was doing as far as that went. And so yeah, I signed with an agent and I really just looked for an agent that was like a real person that like cared about just like my life, not necessarily just like the money or anything, but like just like a genuine and like kind person and very real. Like I just wanted someone like real, so we're really happy with our agent and he's been awesome.
So in terms of just like when it comes to these sponsorship moves and the team signings, and it can get complicated and a little nerve-wracking sometimes, especially like when you're coming into a world championship year, or even last year was like an Olympic year, like you've had all this success leading up to it. You don't want to change too much. And you've had this awesome relationship with Coach Taylor at BYU. Everything's been going great. Was that part of just sort of a little bit of like what you were looking for? And in some of these early on discussions where it's like, I really want to make this World Outdoor Championship team. So hopefully we don't change too much because everything is working.
Yeah, so we didn't necessarily have just like that mindset through and through. Like I was very open-minded, like both of us, like me and Coach Taylor, about it, just like seeing what options we have and like getting to know coaches and things, and just really weighing out all the options. And at the end of the day, I was just like, what I have is really good. And I don't know, like, I just don't think you need to change things. Like you said, when it's going well and she knows me, she knows my, like my bad and my good, like she knows both. So I don't know. It's just, you don't have to start over. You can just keep building, which is nice.
Are you going to be able to still train with the team a lot? Or is there now, I guess, a little group forming of BYU alum hanging out still on campus that you'll have a training group with, I guess?
Yeah, so it's me and Anna that are like officially like going pro right now. So I'll for sure be working out with her a lot, and we'll be working out with some of the BYU athletes as well. But yeah, I think it just makes it easier on Coach Taylor because she's got a whole team, like a whole college team she's doing, and she puts everything into it. So if she were to separate it too much, I think it would get very overwhelming very fast for her. So we just combine what we can, but also try and separate ourselves because we want to be like in a whole new thing, a new phase, So yeah, we'll see how it goes. We're excited though.
So I've had Jared and Connor on the podcast before, and they've, peeled back the curtain as to, Ed Eyestone's training philosophy and how the men's side of the program works. I think you're the first BYU woman I've had on the podcast. So everyone loves seeing Coach Taylor on the ESPN broadcast during the cross country season, very widely respected. So can you, I guess, share with the listeners, I guess, how does her training work, and what is the key behind her philosophy?
Yeah, she's very intense. She's an intense coach for sure. She's all about giving it all, like all in mentality. That's for sure what she's about. So I feel like I don't know exactly like how to answer that. We go hard on workout days, and I'm working on being better at recovering on recovery days as well. But like we try to recover hard and work really hard on the hard days. So
do you have that tendency to go a little too fast on your easy days? Is that the problem?
Like for sure, if you were to look at like where I started and where I've become, like where I've ended up now, like I'm just very proud. I'm like, you have made some great progress on your recovery. So yeah, it's definitely been a work in progress, but I feel like I'm good at it now.
So Coach Lori Hennis from NC State was on the podcast like right after they won the title. And it was very interesting because like she is a little bit more reserved and quieter than what you see of Coach Taylor right before the start of a race. So can you put us in you or your teammates' shoes right before the NCAA championships? How does she get the team fired up and pumped up for the race?
Yeah, she just got that like way about her. First of all, like when she's in the room, it's just like, all right, we're at a new level. It's like an elevated level, honestly, which is something I really love about her because she's helped me elevate like my level in running a crazy amount. And I think it really is just kind of like the way she is. Like she just elevates those around her. But yeah, before the race, she always does like a meeting the night before, which she puts a lot of time into. It, like usually gets a little emotional. We're all just like very invested in what she's saying. And yeah, she does like a little tribute thing to the seniors the night before, which is really sweet. And yeah, it's just like, you're there to just do it. You're there to do whatever it is that you have. So
is there any aspect of turning pro that you're not necessarily nervous about, but you've maybe spoken to some other former teammates who've gone pro before you that you're aware of? You know, obviously you're lining up now and it's your job as opposed to the pride of your school. Maybe you have more time and hours in the day to focus on running. Is there any aspect of this change that you're nervous is not the right word, but you're aware is going to be different?
Because Kyle can always share his tips on how to deal with it.
Yeah, I can tell you what not to do.
That's awesome. I could definitely use any advice. But yeah, there's some things like I need to have a good why for why I'm doing it and what drives me. And before, it's never been money, obviously. Like with college running, like yeah, you get a scholarship, but it's not like you're getting paid, like. So I think now getting paid, I don't want it to turn into like a money thing. Like I just want to do it for like the love of the sport and like the love of like the fulfillment it brings me. Like just keep my why in a good place. So that's something I'm going to consistently like be working on and like putting energy into, just like making sure that my purpose is good for why I'm doing it.
I want to go all the way back to kind of the beginning and where the roots started being planted of your familiarity with the sport, because I went back, did some research. You won 16 high school state titles in cross country, 800, 1600, 3200. And you come from a really small, I guess, hometown, population under 2,000. So I guess you were being thrown in different directions with a bunch of other different sports as well. But how did you really find your calling in running?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I was never like I've always been competitive in running. Like I said, like you said, it's a really small town. So you just got to be competitive in everything, right? So I was always trying to win all the races, and I was very like confident and happy if I was like winning in my class or or things like that. But the sport that I like really loved growing up was basketball. So like that's what I put like all my energy and time into, and like my love, my passion was like in basketball. Running was more just like, I'm really happy that I'm like good at this. Like I gotta keep doing it. But obviously it's like a very painful sport, especially if you're not in great shape and you're just grinding all the time. Like it's kind of painful and hard. Where basketball is just really fun. So I think just like my love for running kind of just came more in college when I actually was in good shape. Like in high school, I only train during cross country season, and then I take a break during basketball season, and then I come back for track in the spring. So, and we weren't really on like mileage plans or anything. It was just kind of like run 3 miles today, or, you know, like just something random. So it wasn't ever like consistent enough to where I was like super fit running wise. So I don't know, it wasn't as enjoyable at that time. But like getting into good shape and having consistent training and like seeing what that did and like how strong you feel, it's pretty cool to like see what your body can do. So I feel like more in college was when it more like blossomed for running.
So we're going to figure out what sort of shape you're in here really soon during the season, but what sort of basketball mile shape are you in right now?
We should try it, because when I did it last time, I wasn't in my best shape. So it'd be cool to see what I can run in it now.
Sorry, go on, Chris.
Yeah, in the broadcast right after you won the cross country title, you did, and this kind of like, you know, flows perfectly. You said that I don't know why anyone else in the world wouldn't choose going to BYU. And so was that something that, like, what drew you to BYU in the first place? And I guess like how much did that sort of like school pride grow over time?
Yeah, it was also a progression, because when I first got there, it was like, ooh, this like wasn't what I was planning for or hoping for to be here. But it was just something I felt like, if it just felt right. And I feel like when you just buy in and like accept it for all that it is, because it is like, it's a different environment, of course. You just like, you can really see like all the good that it has, because it really is a great school. But yeah, I just kept getting more like that the longer I was there. I could see all the little like blessings that are there and how much it has to offer. Like just in athletics, it's crazy. Like we have like the best AD in the country. Like he won that or something this last year. We have, I don't know, it's just like, we just have so much great support. There's just, it's a really good school.
Were you one of those athletes that had this idea of turning professional really early on, or did that develop throughout college? And I guess at what point did that really seem like a path that you could take in life?
Yeah, I think it just kind of happened like once I got faster, and my coach was like, oh, you have some good potential. Like you could go pro. I would say that was probably my sophomore year of indoor, when I like ran a breakout mile for me, and got like my first All-American. It was a really cool year, because I look back at that race, I'm like, oh, like a ton of these girls that were in my race are like Olympians now. So it's really cool to like see that. And like getting older, like I've been able to get more accolades and things that have helped me be able to see that I am like a higher level than I thought, which helps to go pro, right?
One of the stories that Coach Taylor likes to share about you, at least like from one of the articles that I read, is the first time that you broke 5 minutes for the mile. Something I don't know what that's like, but I guess why is it that that's the story that she picks that really paints a picture of like the athlete mentality that you bring? Because it was like a huge PR for you, but you were kind of disappointed because you got beaten by a couple other women, but it was still a big moment.
Yeah, like I look back at that now and I'm like, dang, like that's pretty good, you know. But I think it was just that I wasn't satisfied with it, because I didn't win. And like in high school, like I was from a smaller division, so like winning was what I was going for. It wasn't necessarily times. It's just like I just want to win, like everything, you know. And so like getting into college, like just so fresh off of high school, I was like, I want to win. Like I'm not here to like take fourth, you know, like this is stupid, you know. I want to win. So I think that's why, because I don't know, I want to run fast and win, you know, like they're both good.
It really was like, I guess for a bulk of your BYU career, injuries just kind of propped up and like knocked you out from time to time before we even start touching on like 2019, things start to go right. But for this period of time where it was like stress reactions, how hard was that to deal with?
Yeah, that was very hard. I also think it made me a lot stronger because I could like go back and like look at what I did and how I was able to come back from it. And if I can come back from that time and time again, and I just think I got confidence from that also. If you're gonna like see the good in it, like for sure it was so hard and it sucked because I feel like I would get like starting to get really fit and then like I'd get an injury and it just happened time and time and time again, which like really just kind of crushes your soul, like it really does. But like looking back at it when I was healthy, like it was a huge blessing because I could be like, okay, like I cross trained for 2 hours a day for like 4 weeks or 5 weeks straight. I can do this workout, or I can do this race, like, and I'm happy to do this race. I think it was really important for me because running wasn't necessarily my favorite sport yet. Like it wasn't as enjoyable for me from coming from basketball and volleyball, which are just like, they're just a little different sport, So for me to like have that to compare to like cross training for 2 hours straight and then I get to race and like how much joy I felt when I was racing was like huge for like my running career, I think.
Are you the type of person who is thinking about running at all times of the day, like before practice, at practice, after practice, or is it kind of just like you're able to compartmentalize the different aspects of your life and really turn that on and off?
Yeah, I feel like I've gotten better at compartmentalizing it, but I definitely had my moments, especially when I was rooming with Anna, because we were roommates for like a lot of like a good portion of our college career where we would just talk about it like all day because we both loved it and we'd be like excited about it, like, oh, my workout was so good today, and we just like talk about it for hours or like talk about what we need to work on or like, I don't know. I think it really helped us both like let our love for running grow to talk about it that much together and like just, I don't know, build up for it a little bit more. But I do think it is good to compartmentalize, especially with like relationships, because not everyone cares about it as much as you do, so you need to like talk about other things or else people are just gonna be like, I'm out, But
so around, I guess, like after you overcome a bunch of these injuries, then things like really do start to go right. Not only just for you, but like the BYU women's team in general. What exactly sort of happened at this turning point around 2018-19 that everyone just started elevating their performance?
I think like looking back on it, like we were getting older, which helps, you have a few years of like Coach Taylor's training under you, and that kind of consistency helps. Also just like having good examples to look up to. Like I know for me, like I looked up to Shay Collinsworth a lot. She was like a senior when I was a freshman, so I would always like try and run fast like her, eventually like get to her level, and then like the younger girls behind me would look maybe up to me when Shay was gone a little bit, and we would just kind of like build off of each other. And then I have girls in my class as well that like are really fast and really incredible, so we kind of all just like would look to each other and be like, okay, like you're doing this so I can do this, it was kind of cool.
So now as a professional, are you taking that same mindset and now playing the opposite side of it where, you're looking to the younger girls on the BYU team and letting them know what's possible? And then I guess even beyond BYU, you I guess have a responsibility to now inspire that next generation of young runners. Is that something that you think about, or it's just like, let me just show up and I'll run fast and that's my example?
No, I think it's so important to give back. Like I look at all the people that helped me get to this point, and it's a lot of people, so I feel like I've learned a lot in my experience, and I would love to share it with like the younger people. So yeah, trying to think of good ways to do that for sure. And I think it's good to be at BYU because I do have a name there and people could maybe look up to me. So it's a good opportunity to like be a good example and to like bring them up.
So you're building. We get to 2019 and all right. So December 2019, you run a 5K, 15:22, break the school record by 29 seconds. couple weeks later, come out to New York City, run 4:29 for the mile, break another BYU record by 6 seconds. Then after that, you guys win the DMR on January 31st at Washington, another school record there. Valentine's Day, you run a 3K at UW again, and you run 8:49, another school record by 11 seconds. And, this season is going great. We get to New Mexico for the NCAA indoor championships, and this is going to be a crowning moment for you. And I've heard the stories from like Danny Jones and Joe Klecker about just getting to the track at that moment, and all of a sudden the plans just get pulled. The pandemic shuts things down. What was going through, I guess, like your mind at that moment? It must have been just like, man, all of that, and now I really don't have, the trophies to show for it.
Yeah, it was really actually very hard. Like even like talking about it still a little bit, it just gives me I still get the chills a little bit when even when you just said like talked about it, because that was a very hard, very, very hard thing, because it was for sure a breakout year for me. Like I was doing things that I never really knew I could do. And then I was doing them, and it was kind of just like working out, and I was so ready to just go for it in whatever I was doing. I was like, I don't care. Like I'm going for it, like I've had so many injuries leading up to that too. So that always makes it so much sweeter to like be able to race, And so, yeah, that was very hard, especially just when you're a little bit younger too. It seems like it's everything, and you're like, this will just change my life, and so that's definitely how I felt about it. And looking at it now, like winning at this age and this maturity level, I feel like it was a completely different experience to win. Like it wasn't like it was everything. It was just like, wow, like I did it, like I feel good that I accomplished my goal, but I didn't feel like I was changed as a person, which I feel like if I would have won at that time, I would have just like, I don't know, like I would have felt like a whole new woman, so I don't know.
So you've had excellent range throughout your career. You've been able to run fast from 1500 up to winning cross-country titles. Where do you kind of see as your sweet spot, or when you envision your future? Because it seems like you can do both right now.
Yeah, I would love to say the 1500 is definitely more fun than the 5K, I think. But I'm just down to go wherever I'm the best at. So wherever I am the fastest and have the best chance of success is where I want to go. But I would like to race both. Like I think they help each other for sure. So both the 15 and 5K.
But not the 10K? It's too many laps?
Like I wouldn't say that I would like choose that often, but if I have to do it, then I will do it. But yeah,
I think it's
kind of where I'm at.
It's so funny because like even just hearing, it's always that, I guess Kyle could expand upon this. The newly minted pro who has success in the 15 and the 5K is always going to say like, I'm a 15 person, I'm a 15 person. And there's always a moment where like the coach has to step in and be like, no, the 5K is your event.
Well, what happens is that
does happen for sure.
You'll realize it's really nice to be in a race in which like you have the most foot speed, and that will probably happen occasionally in the 5K for you. But no, I mean, so. 15's fun. It's a great time.
It's so fun. But it does help me enjoy the 15 more when I do lots of 5Ks. Like in the 15, I'm like, holy crap, that was fun. It was so fast.
So when it came to then post-pandemic, I guess like everyone was kind of doing a lot of the same, just putting their head down and training, not knowing when their next race was going to be. Then they eventually do announce that, the cross-country championships are going to be moved to March, and every NCAA team had this moment where it was like a split decision. Like, are we going all in on indoors? Are we going in on cross? BYU's team is big enough that like you could take both paths.
Yeah.
What made you sort of decide to take the cross country route? And then, the season again started off well, and you were definitely like a name now. You'd marked yourself on the track that people are watching you for cross, and you unfortunately go into the championships a little banged up.
Yeah. So it wasn't really a choice because sadly with indoor, I didn't get that year back
Oh,
from indoor nationals. So that was my senior year. So I just lost it and I didn't have any eligibility, or else I know for a fact I would have chose indoor because I had so much like redemption, like, so yeah, it wasn't a choice, but cross country it was, yeah, I did come in banged up. I was injured and I trained for probably 4 weeks leading up to nationals and just full sent it. So yep.
What's your preferred method of cross training? Are you in the pool or the bike?
We kind of do a mix of all the things, but if I'm like going for like enjoyment, if I'm going to enjoy it the most that I possibly can, then I like this machine. It's called the Arc Trainer. I don't know if you've heard of it, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Spent some time on the Arc Trainer in my day.
Yeah. Yes, I feel like most people don't know what it is, but I'm like, that is like the best machine. I love
anything to get through it mentally,
Yeah, true. Swimming might go by the fastest because you can't, like, you're just in the water, just looking down the whole time, but not the most enjoyable for me.
so Isaac Wood is kind of like my BYU insider, and kind of it was, he's the cross country guru. Like, he's got all the charts and the data that is able to project where people are going to finish. And I remember kind of going into that championship as he's like kind of working his numbers and his projections, like he still had you like finishing so high up. And in watching the race, like you said, you were like full send, I'm going to go for it. How much pain were you in? Because it's a hard race regardless, but then to still be up in the mix with the leaders and giving it your all, like, it must not have been easy.
No, I definitely wasn't racing the smartest for my amount of training. Like, if I were to go back and race that race, I wouldn't have led the race. I would have been in like third or fourth, like the entire time until the end, and then I would have tried to like use some of my energy. But yeah, like I said, just always learning. I was in a lot of pain. A lot of pain. The last hill got me good. I was blurry vision, I was like, I'm just finishing this. Like, I don't even care. Like, I thought I took like 50th or something. I'm like, I was in first. I'm gonna get 50th place, but it's fine. I was happy with my 17. I'm like, that was way better than I thought.
Then you have like a whole summer. I guess like you wrap up, that cross season, I guess, and it's less than a year until the next one. So knowing that not everything went right that season, how did you sort of approach the training block that followed to make sure that this cross country championship in the fall was going to be the one that you finally, you get your crowning moment?
Yeah, there was just no monkey business this time, I'm like, I'm going to race smart. Like, within everything in me, I am going to race smart, because I feel like that's what's held me back a little bit in the past, is just like being a little risky, because like I'm all about, I'll risk it if I have to. Like, I'm not afraid to like go, but it's definitely hasn't given me the result yet, so I'm like, I need to try something new. I need to be patient. So that was my thing. Like, we're just racing for the win. Like, the time doesn't even matter. Like, I'm just going for the win. So you don't often see people, like, you do see people leading from the gun and winning, but it's more common to just stay back a little bit and relax for a second and then go, like, you don't need to just go crazy immediately all the time. So that was something I was focusing on for sure.
And then after that, it's always interesting to see who doubles back from cross to, capitalize on that fitness, to jump on the track right away and squeak out like a 5K PR. You ended up running 15:09 at BU. In your first, I guess you were running unattached at that race, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so from there on, I guess, like, how does that sort of set the benchmark for what you want to do this indoor season?
Yeah. You just want to keep improving, you just want to keep getting a little bit better. So yeah, just going from there. I'm not sure how much I will be racing in indoor, whether I'll race Millrose and keep going, or if I'll take a break after that, because it's a long outdoor season. So I know that my body does need a break at some point, and we haven't really gotten a good one since cross country. So yeah.
How's the preparation been so far leading into Millrose? Are you feeling good and confident?
Yeah. I feel like we haven't I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. You really just don't know until you race, you know, because you don't actually give your all in workouts until you just never do that, really. So really the test will be Millrose to see what shape I'm in, but I'm hoping for good things.
I think this is the first time that you'll be in like a really packed stadium for a while, right? Like it should be quite the environment and be good, especially for a pro debut.
Yeah, no, it's like the perfect race to debut, I think. It's so fun. I've always watched this race and just been like, one day I want to race in it. So
I like how when you were discussing your training, you're keeping your cards kind of close to your chest. It's like, I think you could be in for like a little bit of a shocker side, like knowing, oh, this podcast is going to come out right before Millrose. I don't want to give away too many secrets. I'll take the field by surprise.
Yeah, you just never know. You can't be saying too much, you know? Let your race do the talking. Hopefully it will say good things.
So do you know what spikes you're going to be wearing? Do you have all the new equipment figured out? I guess like that's a really exciting part of becoming a professional, right? Is like new toys.
Yeah, for sure. Well, luckily, like me and Anna, like we're best friends. So of course I've seen all of her gear, you know, and I've tried some of it on and kind of gotten a little bit of a feel for it. So far I like what she has. So hopefully they send me, hopefully not exactly the same things, but some of the same things, obviously.
Awesome. Well, I'll hit you with the final questions that I ask every guest on this podcast. The first one is, what's the funniest drug testing story that you've got?
Oh, I actually have a lot. I've been drug tested a lot of times and I'm like, I'm clean. Okay. What is the issue? So my freshman year at BYU, my eyes are just very sensitive. Like, I don't know what the deal is. Like, they've been sensitive ever since I've been a young girl, and I'd have to take like eye drops to make them not be red. And I went into the training room. They don't know me. They don't like know me as a person. And so they're like, this girl is high. Like they thought I was high for sure. And I'm like, I promise I'm not. Like, I'm really not. And then I got randomly drug tested like very soon. And I'm like, was that random? I'm like, be honest. I'm like, I know it wasn't random. He's like, I don't know. And then of course it was negative. I'm like, I told you, okay? I just have red eyes. But we've gotten them fixed. So they look a little better now, but
that's awesome. If you could go on a run anywhere in the world with anyone from history, they don't have to be a runner or anything, assuming they get hold of a nice conversational pace with you, where would the run take place and who'd it be with?
Oh, that's a really good question. It'd for sure be like by like a beautiful beach, probably like in Bali or something.
Okay.
Something magical, maybe a waterfall somewhere. That would be nice. That is such a good question. I probably want to run with Jesus, if I'm being honest.
Okay, cool. I like that. I'm sure he's got tons of stories to share for the run.
So much to tell me. I'm like, you just talk.
I bet he could keep up.
He for sure could keep up. He doesn't even need shoes. He can just run on the water next to me on the beach.
I didn't even think about that. All right. Final question has nothing to do with running. And I have a feeling I know how you're going to answer. You get 25 shots from half court on a full-size basketball court. If you make one, you win $25 million. If you don't make any of the shots, you go to jail for 25 years.
Holy
Would you attempt the shots?
Wow. Woo. I feel like, have you ever shot a basketball and you're just like, you're feeling it? You're like, I know that's going in, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think I'd have to get out there and be like, feel it and be like, am I feeling it? You know? Because if I'm not feeling it, I'm not risking it. But if I am, then of course.
What if they said no warm up?
I literally just need to feel it like before. You know how you're just holding, I don't know if you guys play basketball.
I've never felt it.
You just know you're going to make it before you shoot it sometimes, you know? I'd have to see if that would happen. I wouldn't shoot it. I just have to feel it. Go off of that probably.
All right.
It's kind of a weird answer, but
no, I mean it's better than just being in the straight yes or the straight no camp. It's the people who say a firm yes, their confidence is crazy, and then the people who say no, I'm like, all right, I'm on that side because I'm like 25 years in jail is no joke. Like that's just not my price of freedom.
True. Yeah. Oh, that would be really hard.
Yeah. All right, Whittni. Well, We appreciate you coming on the podcast, and we're wishing you all the best of luck in the final tune-up for Millrose Games. Excited to see you here in New York City, and congratulations again on the pro contract.
Thank you guys. It's good to talk to you.